Professor Ramamurthy, it's just edifying to see the progress which IIT has made significantly, and the lectures in the morning were just fantastic. Wanted to ask you one thing, however, which is that after having spent quite a bit of time in the hostels, our cohort actually stayed there last night. I would say just that the basic cleanliness and sanitation and hygiene is, in a word, poor, and that might be an understatement. Just wanted to know, is that top of mind for you, and any thoughts on that? I don't want to put you in a spot.
Yeah,
but
no, it's not. Absolutely. You're not told me anything that we didn't know. It is a big, it is one of the, top of agenda on our list, and we are trying to, there are several aspects to this. I don't want to discuss it here, but certainly it's something we have to tackle, not just in the hostels, but I would say that one of the things we just have to do, and we were talking about it even yesterday when we were developing our strategic plan, we have to find a way to make sure that our ambience and infrastructure is, I don't want to use words like world class and all that, but really good. I think we have to do that. I think it's very important, not just there, but also in the departments, the general upkeep, the appearance, it's not, and it's at one level it is making sure that, our janitorial departments all work fine, but at another level it's also, I think there has to be a change in the way we function. It's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. Because in the case of the hostels, I think there are aspects to handle in the janitorial part, which you'll be surprised. I'm attending to some of these personally, because there are issues about, we haven't yet discovered how to do these things within a public institutional setup in the country. Okay, there are ways you have to do it, because you just can't. I mean, there are constraints under which you have to function, but still you have to get it done. So we are working. I think we'll get there. But also, I think. I think there's going to be there is an aspect of this with regard to how the students function by when they are by themselves and in this kind of a setup, and I think they have a lot of learning to do also, which is not to say they're the only ones who have to learn. I think the faculty have to learn how to do it in the departments and so on and so forth, but this is something that is what you have pointed out is absolutely I think it's really everything else that I spoke about in my view will go nowhere unless we get learn how to be clean and tidy.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
One thing I found that in your national institutes like IIT, IICs, so on, there is no architectural inputs into these buildings at all. Some of the architecture is still in the 1950s. And if you look at major buildings like these airports, they have better architecture than these IITs. So I don't see architecture both in the landscaping. Landscaping is pre-50s. You don't have an landscaping at all in any of your institutes. And also in your buildings. If you go even to the IICs, the new buildings that have come up, parking is not proper. 10 cars come, you're overloaded. Your parking is overloaded. Even here today, I could not get parking here at all. And similarly, your buildings. Buildings do not have any architecture at all. I don't know. You just give it to the engineer to design your buildings, I think. That's my planning. I think you have to have architecture. Maybe there's no architecture school in IIT. That might be a problem. Because IIC, if you go to any other IIC centenary buildings, they're not functional. They're not functional both in architecture as well as functionally. That's my view. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, it's, if you look at it, if you look at our sort of building campuses in the country, you'll find that pre-1950s, whatever was there had iconic architecture. If you take IISc, or if you take even Roorkee, or if you take any of the things, Guindy College, for example. Okay, and then you'll find that some of the new IITs that are coming up have got that. And there was a period in the 60s, 70s, 80s where I think there was a certain way of thinking, and you would call a Soviet-style approach to doing these buildings. So I learned when I went to Dresden that, they have the same problem. TU Dresden has inherited a whole lot of buildings from that era. What they've done is they've tidied it up. They've not demolished them, and I think the Germans are very conservative. They realize they can't just demolish those buildings, but they have tidied it up and they continue to have them. I think we have decided we are trying to do the same thing with our BSBs, MSBs, and so on. They are very functional. Actually, you'll be surprised. Those classrooms are very, very functional because given the weather of this in this part of the world, you'll be amazed how cool those classrooms are in summer. But I think the buildings have to be made as I said, as tidy and as attractive as possible. With regard to the landscaping, I think that it's not true that we have not applied our mind to it. See, this campus, we have taken a conscious decision. We have to keep it the way it is. You know, we basically have built buildings in what in large part of the campus was a significant part of the campus was actually barren land when we got it, but it's now grown into the same forest that was the rest of the campus. And we have taken a decision that it's got to remain that way. I mean, that is the characteristic of the IIT Madras campus. So it puts a lot of constraints on parking space and many of those things. The way the institute has been built with all the activity going on deep inside the institute, 2 kilometers from the gate, you can't even ask people to park at the gate and come, you know. So what we have decided finally is that you just have to, you know, the best way, we try to make sure, in fact, there are very strict rules. You can't pour cement on the ground here without my signature. Every square foot comes to the director. Because that's really the only way we can make sure that everybody doesn't create their own parking spots and so on. So we are very careful to make sure we don't cement up the place, and we have taken a decision that we will park on mud. There's no choice by and large, and that's the way we do. And if you park all over the place, you sort of manage with the new car culture, and yet not convert convert all these green areas into parking lots. It's a tough, the new buildings all have underground parking, I mean, not underground, basement parking, but the old buildings, we can't do much about it. So it's not, what you're saying is not fully true, but there are certain inheritances, and there are certain, some institutes, if you go to Kanpur and Guwahati, they have a certain uniform architecture, okay? So it's not true, what you're saying is not true of all institutions, but certainly some like Bombay and Madras and all have got this sort of very clear 1970, 1890, Soviet era type of thing.
One more, this hasn't been a complaint session, but it's really want to give you some solutions. Given that you have the expansion plans in mind, and I know you're trying to do vertical use of space as opposed to, spreading out, it's going to really start to encroach on the buildings, and I think we should, and this is not a flippant advice, by the way, we should take over Rajbhavan as well.
So we can't, we cannot get 1 square foot of land in this area, because actually, in order to make sure that Rajbhavan is not slowly taken over by various memorials, you know that the government of India took it over and made it into a reserve forest, into a sanctuary, national forest. So now it's legally it's impossible to convert, and I'm glad for that. But we are trying to get some land, but I'll leave it at that. I don't want to talk about it. Okay.
Yeah,
it can't be next door, but we'll, yeah.
This is Ramesh from 88 batch. I just want to know, do you have a plan for a satellite campus, or?
That's what I just said. I can only dream. I can't plan. We are trying to get the land.
Okay, or even a foreign campus.
No, there is no plan for a foreign campus. See, because let me put it this way. Even a satellite campus, a true satellite campus, my view is you should just create another IIT, because I think autonomy is the best solution to get something better than what you have. So there's no point, there's no brand advantage in having one more IIT somewhere called IIT Madras. If it requires the same amount of money, whether it's IIT XYZ of that place or whether it's IIT Madras, so might as well start a new IIT if you want to start a satellite campus. With everything, with hostels, with library, with all mechanical, electrical, with all the departments. And that's really what the government has done, and I think that's the right way to go if you need one more IITs.
Just the last thing, is it possible for the institute to recruit or maybe attract some of the Nobel laureates by offering them maybe 1 year, 2 year programs in the campus, and they can come from US or whichever part of the world, to improve the quality of research?
So we have a program here called Distinguished Professorship Program, and we don't have Nobel laureates in that, but we have very, very highly distinguished research faculty from other universities who are distinguished professors who come and spend. Very often they are very busy. They usually are willing to come only for a week to 10 days, but sometimes they come for longer periods. So we have them. You can go to our website. You will find the list. Okay. We don't have any Nobel laureates on that list yet, but we could have. We also have a program to bring Nobel laureates to the campus to spend a couple of days on a one-off basis. Distinguished professors are expected to come pretty much every year or of that order, and they do. And we have that kind of a program, yes. But it's going to be a while before we can get any of them onto our faculty list, even for extended periods. That requires a different way of financing and everything. I mean, it's a very different ballgame.
I just want to stay on the topic of sanitation for a minute. Somebody asked the condition of hostels and so on. I sincerely wonder if there shouldn't be a class on civic sense and cleanliness and so on in IIT. And I speak this from a position of authority. I happen to open a restaurant called Komla Vilas in Sunnyvale, and my number one problem is keeping the bathrooms clean. And I think somewhere along the line, maybe something can be done to educate people. As you said, you can build the physical facility, but if people don't maintain it, it's really not going to work. So I've always wondered whether a class, when we used to have humanities, My Fair Lady and all that stuff, maybe there should be a class on civic sense and civic duties.
Actually, if it could be solved by a single class, I would have done it long ago. Okay. The problem
Maybe you need 10 classes.
No, the problem is not so simple. I'll tell you. In the case of the toilets, I don't think the problem is with the users as much. Okay, I think when you have you go and see in 5-star hotels also, there's somebody cleaning all the time. If you go into the IT companies, etc., you have to clean them more often and with more intensity if your usage is higher. I think we don't understand some of those things here. We clean the hostel toilets the same way we clean the home toilets, once a day. That won't work. So there are some very simple things we have to handle in our janitorial thing, which we'll do. But where I find, for example, since you raised the issue, is that the students don't keep their own rooms clean. This is not a problem that didn't exist also existed in our time. So let's not make it out as a, but certainly it continues. If not, and I don't know, I dare say it might have worsened. And sometimes the reasons are very simple. In a lot of the kids who are coming in today really haven't done any cleaning in their own houses, for whatever reason. Okay, probably a few more did some of that when they were in our time, because it was not uncommon for parents to make you do it in those days. So I think some of those things are related to that. Now I don't know how one class or two classes is going to help in this, and but there are many things like this. Okay, and some things are just having to do with the changed lifestyle. For example, now everybody has some 8 or 10 pairs of shoes and chappals and all that. Okay, and they put it all outside in the corridor. Nobody wants it inside the room. If you come into these hostels when they are fully occupied, you'll find you'll be walking on slippers in the corridor, on chappals and shoes in the corridor. It's very filthy. It's very, very untidy. I don't know what to do about this. Okay, everybody was only Hawaii chappal with that safety pin. So it was, there was no issue. Nobody had all these things. So I don't know, maybe we should have provided shoe cupboards outside the room. I don't know what it, but there are some real, I'll tell you honestly, this is a very, very, very thing close to my heart. I worry a lot about this, and I've gone down to this level of detail. It's a big challenge. It's not going to be easy. But whatever we can fix, we'll fix. The cleaning of the toilet, everywhere, even in the departments and so on. You can know that it's possible to do it because this building is maintained very well. Okay, you can see that. But we have to. Is water a problem? Somebody asked. Well, in India, there's no such thing as a permanent answer to these things. It wasn't a problem till last year. We hope it won't be a problem this year. Yeah.
Is there any plan to create an intellectual property office or something?
We have it
like
already.
that?
We have an IP cell. We file patents. We also are beginning to learn how to commercially license our patents. We have not yet done that in a great way, but.
So in the presentation on global ranking, we didn't find any data on.
Unfortunately, the ranking, they don't ask you for that.
But we would like to know.
Yeah, so there is some. I'll tell you, whatever, for what it's worth, we got the award in the country for having the largest number of patents issued. But again, take those kind of things with a pinch of salt. What it really means is we are on that path, and we have created a very good system now actually, where a faculty member, most faculty on the average will not want to get into all this. It's very painful. They know only how to write papers. So what we have done is to make it very easy for a faculty or student who wants to go ahead and publish to actually, if it's worthwhile, find out if it's worthwhile and protect it first very quickly. We have a whole I don't want to get into the details. What we haven't learned yet, and we are beginning to learn, is how to commercialize this. Okay, and there's an IP cell in this building itself, and in the Industrial Consulting and Scientific Sponsored Research Establishment, and it's actually headed by one of our alumni who worked from my batch, who worked in ITC for a lot of years before coming and doing this part-time, GMK Raju. So we are trying to bring in. We have actually. An IPR chair in our institute is a practicing lawyer who's also done a PhD in Duke, who's an specialist in IPR. So we're trying to It's a long way to go in the country, but yes, we are doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Professor Bhaskar.
This is more it's both a comment and a question. I want to thank the dean here. He threw the gauntlet open for people to come and give speeches or presentations on their area of expertise. So in Q1, I took that up. I came and spoke about e-commerce trends in the colloquium. It was a great experience for me, to be in front of like 50 odd
Absolutely.
students.
The leadership
And-
lecture series is one of the best, most popular series,
Yeah.
both with alumni and students.
Yeah, I do want to thank the dean for that.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
The question part is, given, I'm sure it's been done maybe like 50 times this year or more.
Almost
like over
every
the last
week.
couple of years, right? So maybe it'll be nice to see some summary of what those were, and if we could prepare for next year, I'd be more than happy to support that kind of.
So Nagarajan, I think you're planning that anyway, right?
Yeah, I do come periodically on business. So, if there's a forum or even of, say, 4 alumni who want to champion this and try to find more speakers, I'd be more than happy to do
Thank
so.
you.
Great. I do want to thank you for that because I found it on YouTube by accident, so I could share it with my team members. And maybe they're flattering me, but they said they found it useful. But for me, apart from advertising myself, I find it's a good way of advertising my college to say, hey, we have distinguished lecture series, and they are available publicly, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So Bhaskar.
Where is it coming from?
Yeah. I'm Vinay Shankar from batch of 2008. A potential problem I see is that the number of students are going to grow significantly. And in our batch, we actually wish that we had a C5 when we joined. So thanks to Professor Nagarajan and his batch who funded it, and we managed to set it up by the time we passed out. I see that they have grown by leaps and bounds, but it's again sort of a lagging indicator. So what I see is the batches that are coming in now, they perhaps need much more than C5 and more avenues to actually explore and work through their passion. So most of the time people spend is on Shastra or their student projects apart from their academics. So what are we doing, or are we doing anything to actually cater to that requirement?
Well, are you saying that you need other entities like C5 or bigger C5? More? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so we will, there's no, see, we have 8,000 students now. We won't grow any more except in the PhD category. That'll probably creep up to 9,000 or 9,500 over time. And because basically as you add faculty, the PhD students also goes up, okay? We will have to, as I said, we are going to, if we get space elsewhere, we have plan A, which is how, we can really do something very, very different in creating new spaces. It will be mostly for research and this kind of thing. The teaching, the course programs, will keep it in this campus. But if we don't, we have a plan B, which is to, essentially go, ultimately it will beginning to look like Columbia University and other places. It's a lot of, but we'll try to maintain as I said, we are not really going to change the amount of acreage that we have under tree cover. But we have a plan to build a lot of space, and all this kind of expansion will occur. There will be space, there's no doubt, including for things like C5. And as I said, there is a focus in the new strategy, next strategic plan, that we will have as much focus on hands-on self-group learning as on classroom learning. And we'll also enable a lot more online, which is basically, asynchronous learning. So we want to make sure we can enable all these things. Yeah.
So there's a news item today in paper which says about 10,000 trees in IIT will be cut for expansion work. Is it true or?
Sir, when we are building the next set of 100 quarters for the faculty, three bungalows or 3 or 4 of the old faculty bungalows are going to be demolished, and there are going to be 3 large buildings that are coming in there instead of them. The trees in those compounds will go, what used to be in those compounds of those households. There are a few, very small number of trees we would not like to see go, but they will go. But actually, when we document this, we count everything that goes, including Prosopis julif, Juliflora, which we would all love to see go. So we have to document everything, and I think it's some 2,000 or so, if you count all those things. No, that's not correct. But it's some large, 2,000 is a large number also, right? But actually the trees that really are important are smaller in number. There are very few, probably under 5 or 6. That's the one we try to minimize. In fact, if you see how the architectural brief is given, architect's brief is given for every new building that comes on campus, thanks to Google, is actually we pull out the tree cover and we mark all the big tree canopies, and the architect has to work to either not cut any of those or minimize, including removal of partial canopy. So if you look at the new academic complex that's coming where Knick-Knack used to be, it's a trapezoidal building. The reason it's a trapezoidal building is if you put the trees there, you'll find why it's trapezoidal. Because there are these banyan trees that are defining the shape. Okay? So we try to do that, but there is no omelette without breaking eggs. I am afraid there are trees being cut. Okay? Yeah.
So Professor David talked about the rankings, and one of the things that seemed important there was the amount of income that the institution is generating from its consulting as well as its research activities. And you also talked about IIT Research Park. One question I had is, do you have targets for revenue generation?
Yeah.
And are you meeting them?
Yeah, see, okay, so we have targets. The targets are moving targets in some sense because, if you look at like most universities abroad or anywhere in the world, 80% of our research funding comes from government sources. It's true even for MIT and all that, by the way, for all the noise that they make. So, government sources, you can't make your own targets. You got to see what their targets are. They have 5-year plans, and you got to align it to that. So in the last 10 years, the government has been spending a lot of money on research. So we have also very aggressive targets, and we are meeting all of them. In fact, this year, we are even crossing our target. What we thought we'll get, because somehow government is, despite all the cutback, they have sanctioned a lot of projects. We have more, what you can say, IIT-driven targets from industry-sponsored research, and that we are meeting it. We are sort of trying to grow at about 20% a year, and we are maintaining that. That is happening, and in that way, we are trying to increase. We have we are currently at about 50% is research-based industrial consulting, and the other 50% is more like your professional skills. You are checking the design of something, or you are verifying, or the process or something, which is more retainer based. We want to increase the fraction of the research based, and currently at 50%. So both those targets we are monitoring and we are meeting. The other one, which is the 80% that wags the tail that wags the dog, is actually controlled partly by what the government decides first. Then we can make our targets. Okay.
And a follow-up question on that. There is a lot of activity oriented towards entrepreneurship and innovation, right? But one of the issues that many small companies face is seed funding, venture funding. Have you been able to attract? I remember there was Andhra Pradesh venture funding. Or
Venture
something.
East, yeah.
Yeah.
So some of this was done by individual groups earlier, including Professor Junwala's and mine. But now there is this incubation cell of the institute which is doing it in a formal way. A lot of alumni are playing a big role in this. There's an entrepreneurship fund that is being set up. Plus there are individuals who are coming and meeting us pretty much every week who are having funds or wanting to create funds, who want to see if they can align. So I think that is happening.
Thank you.
Last question according to Nagarajan. Who is the master of this function?
Hello. Professor.
Two questions, sir. Since she's got the mic and you are standing up, let her finish and then you can. Yeah, let her finish. Yeah.
Thank you. I just followed the question which somebody asked about the patents.
You have to hold the mic closer to your...
You said there is some activities going on about the patents and commercialization of the patents. I think if innovation, entrepreneurship is something going on there, if there is a course on patents, because this is coming up in European countries and US in a very, very big way, especially in the innovation and entrepreneurship. Do you have any thoughts about it?
Yeah. So we are doing two things. We run short courses for faculty and students periodically on these issues, but we also we have a minor stream on entrepreneurship which is available to students. Now the current curriculum, which is about at least 10-15 years old, the students have to take 2 minor streams of 3 courses each. And entrepreneurship is one of the minor streams. I'm sure it covers, I've not checked it, but I'm sure it covers patents and innovation. Yeah. So we are in that, we are doing that. And I mentioned we also have specialized faculty now who can do that. We don't have to rely on sources outside. Yeah.
Yeah, I am Venkateshwaran from the 68 batch. We have been talking about technology and technology and technology. So I would like to know what are the HR policies in terms of the faculty development, faculty enhancement and faculty retention, and what are those things which IIT Madras, because that's going to be your human capital which is going
Yeah.
to be the long term.
Yeah. So as part of our strategy, we also have we pay a lot of attention to our human resource policies, both for faculty and staff actually, not just for faculty. Little more than 50% of the employees of the institute are non-faculty. And as far as the faculty is concerned, in terms of attraction, we have only a few levers. We don't have levers on the compensation. But we can do everything else, we can smile at them more, we can make their life nicer when they come in, we can take care of them, I can make calls, I can check up if their spouse is happy. So a lot of things we try to do, and that's the part we are improving. And it seems to be working for whatever reason. We are very happy with the kind of faculty we are able to recruit on a sustained basis year after year. The steady state number is right now we are recruiting anywhere from on average about 35 net new faculty every year. Net of retirements, it varies from 30 to 35 per year. And very good faculty. In fact, it's a very pleasurable process going through the interviews, very good people. For what it's worth, though that's not an indicator necessarily of quality, but 50% of them are from PhDs from abroad and 50% are from India, but they're all very good. And retention is very good. Still in India, movement is not easy. Schools are the biggest bottleneck. So as long as school admission is tough, nobody will move. Okay. So there is no problem with that until some big disruptive change happens in that. We don't have to worry about retention. But the thing is, what we have been working on is the incentivization and sort of maintaining some kind of, if not heavy pressure, at least some kind of constant pressure to perform and excel. So we already have that pretty, all the IITs do, and we do also fairly good in terms of the first 2 levels of promotion. It's not easy to get promoted unless you are performing. But that sort of peters out by the time you are in mid-career, because you become a professor. If you are good, especially, you become pretty fast, and then there's another 20 years left, 20 plus years left. We're now trying to create some more, milestones beyond that. And I think we'll succeed. Our aim is to have at least, make sure there's something that every faculty member is trying to achieve or trying to, win in some sense, at least every 5-6 years. So that right up to the late mid-50s, then after that we'll forget about it. And as far as we are doing the same thing for the staff also, by the way. Today we have created, it's already in place, we have created a scheme by which we recruit both our technical and non-faculty technical staff, as well as our or what in government parlance has got a very nice name. It's called ministerial staff, the administrative staff. Both of these we now recruit at a level which in the new India is very aspirational, meaning certainly fairly low level in terms of educational attainment. But many of these people now are the best ones. Actually, while they work, they continue to study, they continue to improve their qualifications. And that's the model we are evolving now, so that we evolved a model by which every employee who joins this institute can aspire to get 6 promotions in his or her life. That means again every 5 years. And in the process, they'll have to qualify themselves somewhere midway. Within 10 years, they'll have to get one more degree, otherwise they won't be able to do it. And the avenues for this, so we are going to create the HR support infrastructure to enable them to do all that. They won't do it in IIT, they'll do it in other institutions in the city. But it's all possible, and people are doing it already in small numbers. And so that's the way we are doing it. We're trying to avoid stagnation, because we have to do all this within the constraints set by the government in the way we employ and the way we pay, and we managed to do that. We are implementing it now. Let's see how it works. So HR is a very important aspect. I know IIT is ultimately going to be in steady state. These older IITs are going to be within a matter of few years 700, 750 faculty and about 900 non-faculty employees, and about anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 students. I think it is possible within this microcosm, despite all the problems that we face in the country, to have both faculty and staff, by and large, in a statistical sense, working hard, aspiring to improve, being rewarded for performance, and essentially getting up every morning and looking forward to their day. It's possible, and that's what we're trying to do. Thank you.
It's great to have you people on the campus again. Thank you once again for being here and making this event much more lively. So, lunch is already being served in the dining room, and we request you to take campus tours at 2 o'clock after you finish your lunch. Thank you very much.